This is Politricks. Stevenson and Yates. Bring in the real. Yeah, the river of truth is rising. No silence, no surrender.
No surrender, no silence, no peace. Where we going with this? We're looking for peace, and we're looking in all kind of directions for it. We looked into an administration, hopefully, that we could get this peace, but he wants to have peace by strength, which that generally means that he wants to be a conqueror. All right. Well, welcome to Stevenson and Yates. My name is Kendall Stevenson. I'm with my partner, Ronald Yates. He'll be in just a sec. We always start our show off by trying to be grateful for something. There's a lot of things we should be grateful for. One is family. And in today's time, I'd say if you got a refrigerator that's got some food in it, and if you're able to put some gas in your tank, I think you should be grateful for those things. All right, so let's get it going. Let me introduce my partner in crime over here. That's what I guess that's a good term, partner in crime, right? Not to say that he's a criminal, but we're gonna have partners in crime. All right, and let me bring him in for you, Mr. Ronald Gates. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good, brother.
Hotep. You know, we were talking earlier about our weekend. And I tell you, I just got back off a little vacation, and I had a really good time. And I think I needed to have that little vacation off, that little time off, spend a little time with the missus, you know. And yeah, it was good, man. A little windy, but I understand that's the way it is in some of those tropical islands with those torrential winds. But the thing that I did notice over there is the way that people treat each other. It seems that they give a lot more respect to one another. And I was in a country, I tell you, I went to Aruba, and I got to know a little bit about the way that the government works over there. That people over here may call it socialist and may say it's bad, but I really think that the government over there actually works for the people. I saw that they're trying to do away and get away from the crude oil situation, and they're building these big solar fields. So this way they can go green. This way they can actually become energy sufficient. They don't need to rely on anything. Not like here in this country where we seem to have this issue right now. They're telling us, so like they always bullshit, but they're telling us that the high gas prices are due to the situation in Iran. I'm not a mathematician, but it doesn't seem like the math is math. And if I have all of this oil right here in America, I have so much oil that I can export it, right? I'm not really importing any oil here. So can you tell me why our gas prices are going up, brother?
Well, we have to go back to when Trump was seeking re-election. Trump approached the major oil companies in this country, and he asked, can you help me? Essentially, can you help me get reelected? So their question was, well, what does that look like? So I think the number Trump quoted in was about $1 billion in campaign finances to get himself reelected. Well, now that Trump is in office, of course, the oil concerns are looking to recoup their losses or a return on their investment. And Trump has been a very valuable investment. Yes, going back to the Obama administration, then President Obama said that America was pretty much energy independent, that we no longer had to rely on foreign sources of oil to maintain our supply of oil. So we produce enough domestically that we don't have to rely on, oil from the Middle East. So the Strait of Hormuz being closed should have minimal impact on us because we have the oil here. If you remember, Trump said, drill, baby, drill, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have the sources of oil here. But for the oil companies, I mean, to them, it's about maximizing profit. So we'll say that, well, the Strait of Hormuz being closed, which we should have anticipated that as an objective for Iran, we didn't, supposedly. So it closed the Strait of Hormuz. So we're using that as an excuse to say, well, had gas prices have to go up. Well, as gas prices have gone up, well, we're still exporting oil to other countries, right? So we have the resources here. We have the oil here. But this is all, again, about maximizing profit. Nothing more, nothing less.
You know what that sounds like to me, brother? I'm going to tell you, there was a term utilized known as robin barons. And what robin barons would do, these are a whole bunch of rich people, plenty of money, but they would go out and extract money from the people, the poor people. And that kind of seems like what's going on here, man. It seems like when they say the rich are getting richer, yeah, they're getting richer because they're charging us an arm and a leg. Every war that we have to pay for it. Every little incident comes up, the prices go up. They seem to get richer. And then here it is. You look at an administration that has a bunch of billionaires in it. You got a whole bunch of billionaires that are supposedly working in this administration, making all of this money. You hear all of this money going around, but yet there's no money to feed the poor people. My wife, we were looking at going down in Philadelphia and all the different places, man, and the amount of homeless people. It brought tears to her eyes, the way that she had to see how these people are living. But yet we can find all of this money. We can print money, make money. Billions of dollars are going into the Trump crime family. And here it is. There's no money to take care of the American people. And then they'll turn around and tell you something like, well, we're making America great again. You want to hear other people. This is what really kills me, is while you're listening to the social media vibe, you can hear people that are agreeing with this man. I think that he's doing the right thing by going to war against a country that didn't pose a threat to us at all.
Well, here is the situation, and I'm just going to be blunt about it. Right now, America has reached a point where there is nothing that we can do to fix our debt situation. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing the Democrats or the Republicans can do to change this situation. When you talk about the rich getting richer, well, probably since the Reagan years, it began the greatest redistribution of wealth in history, right? The top 1%, if you go back to the Reagan years and you see, just look at the gap between a CEO and the lowest paid employee, and you see every year the gap increases, right? While for working class and poor people, wages remain stagnant. And on top of that, benefits have been cut. So all this money is going to the top 1% in this country, and in fact, around the world. If you do a little research, you'll find that 96% of the world's resources is held by less than 1% of the population. 96%. So the rest of us on this planet are living on just 4% of the world's stocks, bonds, and other sources of income. That's it. The rest is in the hands of 1%. So, when you talk about voting, Democrat, Republican, it really doesn't matter. Neither one of them can fix this mess. Trump knows that. And I'm sure the rest of them in Washington know that too. So they basically abandoned all talk of making America great. You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear about fixing affordability anymore. You don't hear about gas prices being brought down anymore. You don't hear about any of that anymore. What you do hear about is the $1.8 billion slush fund. You hear about building the ballroom. You hear about the Arc de Trump. Those are the things you hear about. And here's something else. The U.S. and Israel are not talking about military integration What that means is that they want to
What the hell is that?
Well, what they want to do is put Israeli officers into the Central Command, also into the Indochina Command. Now, what happens when Israel's objectives are not the same as the U.S., but you have you have Israeli soldiers commanding U.S. troops? Now, for the last 30 years, excuse me, America's and Israel's vision of the world has not aligned. Yet, America has fought 3 wars for Israel. We went to war in Iraq. We went to war in Iran. We bombed in Libya. We bombed in Syria, all for Israel. Now, if you combine these forces and Israel wants to go and lead a full-scale attack on Iran, American soldiers are dragged in. And they've already said in their statement, when they talked about this integration, that one of the things they hope to have is first straight capability. In other words, preemptive wars, Israel's specialty, attacking, right, preemptively, without any provocation. Now you have Israeli soldiers embedded into the U.S. military. Who's going to be in charge of what? Already, Israel is in charge of our legislative branch. Of all of our members of Congress, I think only five people do not take money from the Israeli lobby. So they're in charge of our government, and now we're going to put them in charge of our military. So people realize in this country that there's nothing we can do to fix what is broken. America's collapse is inevitable. There's nothing. It's like the train is rolling down the track at 100 miles an hour and the brakes have failed.
I can tell you this. This is what I can tell you, bro, is that every great civilization has fallen. Rome fell. And all of the big giant civilizations, they all have fallen. I don't see why this empire would. I mean, Russia fell, and that was in our lifetime. We've seen that with the collapse of the Russian Empire. But you rebuild. So even if this system collapsed, and we're gonna rebuild. I just hope that when we do rebuild, and maybe we should come up with another slogan or constitution or something, that when they talk about we the people, that they're not just talking about the rich white men. Because to me, when I hear we the people, and I go back to the 1776, I go, well, we the people didn't include people that look like me because they kept us in chains. And we the people did not include women at all. So who was left other than rich white men? That's the only people that were left to make decisions and all kind of nonsense. And the decisions that they have made are not good ones, man. They said, give me liberty or give me death. And you got to say, well, what liberty was it that you wanted? You wanted to have liberties to own people as property? Is that the liberty that you were fought for? Or, to what do they call it, to dehumanize people? Is that the liberty that they fought for? Because that doesn't include me. And I still can't see us celebrating, especially us as African Americans and descendants of African Americans. I cannot see us celebrating the oppressors' liberation, because part of their liberation was to keep people like me, in chains. I can't get very patriotic with that. Well, what do you think about that? The 1776. We're coming into that point right now. We're getting ready to celebrate the 250 years of liberation from Great Britain. Right? What do you feel about that?
Well, I work at a school district, and every morning at 9:00 sharp, there is an announcement to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And of course, the last stanza is with liberty and justice for all. And I can't help thinking about the people that this country has rounded up and put into detention centers. Where is their liberty? Where is their freedom? When you talk about this experiment in democracy, as it's called, One thing that Donald Trump has done, Donald Trump has exposed the hypocrisy that this country was built on. This country is built on layer after layer of hypocrisy. And now Trump is laying it out there for the whole world to see. And because of that, American prestige around the world, it's evaporated. People are now seeing America for exactly what it is and what it's always been. The only people that still have some illusions or delusions are the people in this country. The people that still believe that what Donald Trump is doing is going to restore this nation. The other day, Donald Trump gave I think the day he was introducing the new Fed chairman, he said America has the hottest economy on the planet. He said that jobs are everywhere, that factories are going up all over the place. Yet, no one has shown us a factory being built. Yes, they're trying to build these data centers, which are going to provide a minimal number of jobs and use up an enormous sum of energy and other resources like water. But other than that, this is all a delusion or an illusion. There are no factories being built. He talked about $18 trillion in foreign investment. Where is it? So,
offshore account, probably.
Well, there is no $18 trillion in investment. Trump went to China, met with Xi Jinping, and there was nothing productive that came out of that. He came back and said, well, they're investing in America. Well, no agreement has been signed. In fact, Trump hasn't really signed any agreements in his second term. So he's going around saying, well, this is coming and that's coming. Yeah, so is Christmas. But that's not going to bring us jobs either. That's not going to restore America's prosperity either. So, this hypocrisy, these layers of hypocrisy is being exposed. And not just in this country. This whole back and forth with the Pope. People are now taking a good look at the Pope. Who is this guy? Who said that he's God's representative on earth? Where do you find the term Pope in the Bible? There's no mention of it. So who is he? Where does his power derive from? So all of these things are now questions that we have to ask ourselves, because as you said, empires have fallen. All of them have, right? Typically from internal decay. And that's what's happening in this country. So yes, America is right there on the verge of collapse. And
I tell you, the one thing I have noticed, and I've been listening around at just the African American communities, is that actually starting to kind of build without utilizing the resources from the government. Like when people talk about the Black Wall Streets and the down in Tulsa or the Greenwood or the different cities throughout America, I think it was about 50 of them that were actually booming towns where they were generating money and so forth and so on. But they didn't rely on the government to do what they did. What they relied on is each other. And I think that's the only way we're going to be able to make any changes. We've always kind of been the ones, our women, us, our men, we've always been the ones to make the difference in this country, pretty much since we've been here. I mean, you got to remember what was in 1600 Jamestown, right? Okay, so those people were starving. They couldn't farm, they couldn't build. The natives of the land, they couldn't go mess with them because they were going to get killed. African slaves came in, boom, they were able to communicate with the indigenous people. They were farmers, so they helped build there. And we've been helping and building in this country since we've been here. I mean, even when we talk about the Civil War, I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for like people like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, we'd have lost that war. So we've been helping all along. World War I, World War II, on and on and on and on. We've been the ones that have been the backbones to rebuild this country. And I think that's probably what may happen again. that may happen again. I think maybe that's why people are afraid of brown people overpopulating or becoming in power, because they're going to lose their power. But I don't know. I see it's coming back around again, man. I listen to a lot of conversations. A lot of organizations are coming back around again. I think amongst ourselves, we're going to build that community back up again. We'll end up helping everybody, of course. But first, I think we got to help ourselves.
Well, when you talk about relying on the government for assistance, you have to keep in mind that the government doesn't have any resources. We are $40 trillion in debt. We borrow money every day from foreign countries to keep the American economy afloat. We sell China, Japan, and a host of other nations treasury bills with the belief that someday we will be able to pay back with interest what they have borrowed. It's not happening. We do not have the resources, $40 trillion. That means if all of us, even kids, were to become, we brought back childhood labor, none of us for the next 10 generations would live long enough to see the debt paid down. Just the interest alone is hundreds of billions of dollars per year. So there's no
How do we get like this? I'm just curious. How do we get this way?
The Federal Reserve Act. So in 1913, a group of rogue senators went to an island off the coast of Georgia, Jekyll Island, and they had one objective, and that was to pass the Federal Reserve legislation. Once that legislation was passed, the U.S. government no longer prints its own money. That money is now printed by the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned bank. So what we have is the rich 1%, and I'm talking the richest, the Rothschilds, the Bronfmans, J.P. Morgan and others, the Warburgs. These are the people that are in control of the Federal Reserve. So these are the people that loan money not to corporations, but to governments. So if Iran wants to go to war with Israel, well, they'll loan to both sides so that we'll reap our profits from both of them once the war ends.
Do you think that some of these higher people, I don't even call them higher ups, so do you think that some of these people they have control or maybe instigating some of these wars because it's profitable for them?
Absolutely. And let me tell you why. America wants to go to war. Let's use an actual war. Let's use the Vietnam War. America, even before they entered the war, was paying 80% of the war cost for France. Why? Well, first of all, you need to build up, you need armaments. So you have to have the money to buy the bombs, the planes, the tanks. So that keeps the military industrial complex happy because you're constantly buying war material. After the war is when the profits really, you reap the profits. How? Now you have to rebuild your country from all the bomb damage. You have to build cities, roads, towns, infrastructure. You have to build new homes. Trillions of dollars are made in loans. And there's a book I read many years ago called Diary of an Economic Hitman. And this guy, he was dating this woman who had an uncle who was in one of these 3-letter organizations. This guy knew nothing about electricity, but he was bought in, recruited by one of these 3-letter agencies, and they sent him first to Central America to set up electrical grids. Again, he knew nothing about electricity, knew very little about business, but they told him, there's not much you need to know. All you need to know is that these people need electricity. And in exchange for us building an electrical grid for them, they will give us their valuables. Land, where there are resources, we'll take that if they can't make the payments. And they knew they couldn't make the payments. So we'll take the land, we'll take the gold, we'll take the silver, we'll take whatever they have. And, that's the way businesses work at that level. They are ensuring generational wealth for 10, 15 generations down the road, if you look at the Trump family, in 1 year, and I'm talking about the entire family, not just, President Trump, but his entire family, their net worth has increased by about $8 billion.
$1 billion. And check this out. So here's a question. Here's a new thing that went on with the Trump family. I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't want to lose thought. The taxes. Did you hear about the tax situation? Where
he can no longer be audited, his children,
or his businesses, any of his family, anything.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm telling you.
Me is saying let me be a criminal and let me get away with it.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Well, that's what I'm telling you. See, Trump and his cronies, these wealthy business people, these billionaires, they understand full well there's nothing they can do to solve America's problems. So what they're doing is they're preparing for the next move. Trump is setting up so even when he leaves office, there will be no prosecution of him, his family, or his businesses. Trump knows this. So he's putting these pieces into place. So when the American people find out how much damage has been done, he'll be on either his $400 million gift from Qatar or the 757 he's been riding around in for years. He'll be on one of those, leaving this country at high speed. And I would imagine, right, that Trump is also going to put it in place that where he chooses to go to, there's no extradition treaty between that country and the United States. So he cannot be brought back.
I'm telling you, that when I say the Trump crime family, that's pretty much what I mean, man. And I say that this, to me, what I see is this entire administration is either corrupt or just incompetent. But they all seem to be making a lot of money, seems to be heading their way, and they seem to take it, put it in their pockets. I listened to the hearings. They won't answer questions. They beat around the bush about every question. They jump to the defense about everything that questions is asked. Where's this money? Why are you taking money? Like housing. The guy's sitting up there talking about, the housing doesn't work. We didn't like the way that the housing situation or the money was set up for the housing, and it didn't work. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take all the money out. We're not going to fund it at all. And this seems to be the answer with every situation they have. Education, well, what they're gonna close the education department. Then they want to say, well, there's fraud. See, I think there's a way that they keep putting out these different propagandas so that they can get the American people kind of to go along with what they want to do. So if their ultimate goal is to steal this money and put it in their pocket, and the money has to go to, let's say, education. If you consistently put out there how poor and how bad the education system is, you'll get a whole bunch of people that will agree with you. Let's close it. But then where's the money going? All these different organizations, like what was it with Medicare for a while? It's been fraud, right? And this way they can take all the money out of it. And it harms a lot of people, the medical, the education, the housing. When they take all of this money out, where is this money going?
Well, here's the thing, and I want you to think about this. So of the living presidents, going back to Bill Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, America is in grave danger. Militarily, economically, politically, socially. And yet, Obama might put stuff on the internet, Facebook, stuff like that, but you don't really hear anything else from anybody, any of the former presidents. And why? Don't you think they're investing in some of the same companies that Trump is invested in? If Trump can increase his wealth by and his family by $8 billion, don't you think these other folks want in on that? Don't you think that these other presidents also took money from the Israeli lobby, also took money from the fossil fuel industry, also took money from Wall Street. That's why they're not saying anything, because they're reaping in profits as well. So yeah, they'll offer some token resistance, but why aren't they out there leading these protests? Why aren't they?
Well, that's actually that's one theory, because something we can't actually prove, whether they did it or not. But it would seem so, just because of the situation and the way it's turning out to be right now. But I can't really say whether what they did, taking money. It seems though, because it's available. So it would seem like that would be something obvious.
We can't say that. We can't say it. Let me tell you why. When Obama was elected the first time, he said he had just paid off his student loans. That was his first time when he ran for office. Obama now, they have homes in DC. They have homes in Hawaii. Obama and his family are very rich now, very wealthy people. And how do you get there? Well, you are heavily invested in some of these companies, the fossil fuel sector of the economy. You're invested in weapons technology, weapons development. That's where the money is. And that's where their investments are. When you talk about Democrats and Republicans, they're both invested in the same stock, same bonds, same companies. And they're getting their money from the same donors. So they'll tell you, oh, well, we're different. We have a clear difference of opinion. But right now, with this proposal to combine forces with Israel and America, how many Democrats are speaking out against that? Because the very same Democrats.
There are Democrats that are speaking out against it, man.
Name one. Name one that has spoken out about this particular proposal.
Jasmine Crockett.
She has not spoken about this proposal. She has not.
About this proposal that took place? This last
proposal of combining U.S. forces and Israeli forces, not a single Democrat has come forward. Why? Because
I'm going to take it out, because I really haven't.
5 people in Congress that don't take Israeli money.
All right.
So no,
like I said, I'm gonna check it out, because I don't want to say something I'm not 100% sure, which I'm not 100% sure. So the best I can do is take your word, and your word is usually good. But I just like to see it for myself, because we both know some Democrats, man, and they're not always. We do have some out there that are actually out there trying to get things done, especially on a local level.
But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to Israel, right? Across the board, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on. Pretty much, we have 5 members of Congress that do not take Israeli money. That means 530 of them are taking money from AIPAC and the Jewish lobby. 530 of them. And this is Democrats, Republicans, this is independents. They're all taking Israel's money. And Israel's not going to give you money unless you are going to put forth policy that is beneficial to Israel. That's why there is no.
I believe that. I believe that, because since 1948, man, we've given Israel over $300 billion. But let me let's take a little quick break, and then we'll come right back. I haven't talked to Dr. LaJoyce in a minute or two, but she did ask me to make sure I run this for her. So let's take a quick break, Val.
A doctor's calling. A company's mission. United for a greater good. When Edmark International, the pioneers of wellness, joined forces with Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, naturopath, the world gained a new weapon in the fight for true health. Co-created, science-backed, nature-powered. This isn't just a product. This is a movement. Born from decades of groundbreaking research, naturopathic mastery, and Edmark's relentless innovation.
The body wants to heal itself, and we have just given it the ultimate toolkit.
A detox unlike any other. A partnership unlike any other. The future of health starts now.
She wasn't feeling that well, man. I spoke to her a couple of days ago, and she was a little under the weather. But I'm hoping that she bounces back. Yeah, like Well, you know how I am, bro. I like to talk about certain things, and I understand that sometimes I give my opinion, but I do like to do the research. You do your research, so I trust in what you say when we talk about certain things. But still, I like to kind of just some things are opinion because, like I said, I don't know a person personally, so I'm not in their pockets. Don't know what they do. And I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I got to read it first. That's just me personally,
Mhm.
like because in this little short lifetime, and both you and I, we've even through each other, we've gotten to meet a lot of different people, man, and a lot of those people I've actually learned to respect them, and what they do and how they fight, and I know that they fight. Maybe not always for the big things up there in the federal government, but they do fight. They do fight for us and try to keep us our rights. Like here in Pennsylvania, we've been able to kind of keep intact, if you want to say. There's been some little hiccups here and there, but basically, right here, we've been able to keep it together. I wish we can get those damn gas prices lowered, but right here, with the education system, with all of that DEI nonsense, with all of the nonsense been going on, we've been kind of able to maneuver around all of that and still stick together and still trying to come together as communities. So that's my take on it, boss.
Well, I think that right now, as I said, America is pretty much on the point of life support, right? At some point, I wrote a piece the other day, and it's called "When the Bow Breaks," right? And we're at the point of the bow breaking when some of these foreign countries no longer buy U.S. Treasury bills, which is nothing but debt. Because it's a bad investment. China, Japan, the oil-rich countries, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they have to come to the realization that they're never going to get a return on their investment. All they're doing is putting, good money after bad. America can never return the trillions of dollars that they've invested in this country. And the only thing right now that is keeping this economy afloat is the money in U.S. banks that have been deposited by these oil-rich nations. There's more than $1 trillion in oil money in 6 U.S. banks, and 5 of them are in New York alone. So if these oil-rich nations decided to divest, America would collapse within hours. So there is a clause in, it may be in our Constitution. Well, not in our Constitution, but there is a clause. It's kind of an emergency clause that basically said, at the time of a national emergency, other countries cannot withdraw funds from U.S. banks. So every time the oil-rich nations have threatened to pull their money, there's always been some national emergency. And their funds are frozen. So right now, you have these oil-rich nations that are encouraged to invest in America. But what's the return on the investment? You can come in, you could buy up, buildings in Manhattan, which a lot of it is owned by foreign investors. But what happens when the value decreases? Right now, one of the things that's holding up the economy used to be home buyers, right? That was one of the drivers of the economy. You buy a home, you need furnishings, you need appliances, you need all these things, right? People aren't buying homes anymore. Consumer confidence is down. So what used to hold up the economy is cratering. And, these foreign investors are looking at this, and they're now looking other places to invest their money, not necessarily in the United States. And because of that, when you talk about things like education is suffering terribly. We're not interested in educating kids anymore. I don't know if we ever really were. We give them a serviceable education 40, 50 years ago. Now it is enough to pass standardized test. If you ask these kids questions as simple as who's the governor of Pennsylvania, a lot of them don't know. I asked them the other day if the president and the vice president are both incapacitated. And we're talking about people in intermediate school.
Who take over next, right?
Well, first they didn't know what incapacitated meant. So I had to explain that. And I said, well, if they're both, say they both die, right? Who takes over? They had no clue. They had absolutely no clue. And these are things.
So look, let me ask you a question about that. Just a quick question I want to ask you about that. So instead of throwing out the baby in the bathwater, then why aren't they trying to actually fix the system? Because it seems what they do, or what's been happening is they're throwing out the baby and they're throwing out the bathwater. So if we, let's say, switch over to all of these charter schools or private schools, wouldn't there be a lot of kids that wouldn't be able to receive an education? Because it seems like to me what's trying to be done here is they're trying to privatize the education system, period. Which again, now that opens up an avenue for someone else to get rich. Instead of looking at the average poor people that actually may need an education but can't get it because they can't afford to go.
Well, here's the thing. The problem comes down to money. To fix the educational system, to get it to function properly in this country, we have 400 million people here. And let's say of that 400 million, let's say 150 million are, kids in school and colleges and universities. In order to get them where they need to be, it would take massive investments. You have some places in some inner cities, 35 or more kids in a single classroom. That's way too many. The scope should never be more than 10 or 15 students to one teacher. And now you have 3-4 times that amount. So there's always going to be kids left behind. So in order to equalize the playing field, and when I say equalize the playing field, I mean the same money I spent in the suburbs on some of these better schools, that same amount of money spent in the city schools takes massive investments, hundreds of billions of dollars. And that has never been a priority of the U.S. government.
The U.S. government is too busy spending hundreds of billions of dollars that we give to Israel, the state of Israel, that we give to them. And their kids, again, I'm going to say it again, they don't have to pay to go to school. They have universal health care. They even have free housing. So here it is. We don't have it here in this country. Those little, I don't want to say entitlements, but we don't have that here in the country. But we're taking our money that we could utilize right here to fix some of these problems, but we're giving it away every year. We're giving tons of money away to these other countries. So and again, I keep saying, when are we going to start being American and care about America? Well, all of the Americans, not just some, but all of the Americans.
Well, as I said, Trump is exposing the hypocrisy. Now, when you talk about foreign aid, what Israel gets is aid, and there's really no return. When you talk about, say, the continent of Africa, we would complain about we're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, if you look at it, what we give Africa is a drop in the bucket compared to what we extract from Africa. If you think about it, where do most of the world's diamonds come from? Where does most of the world's gold come from? Where do strategic minerals come from? Where do the materials used to make cell phones come from? All of this comes from Africa. So you give Africa $200 million, but you extract $2 trillion in investments. So it's a lopsided affair, and it's always been. But we point the finger.
Making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Right. So we point the finger at Africa saying, oh, we're giving all these poor people all of our money. No. the corporations are reaping a windfall.
Mhm.
And for Israel, it is all free money. What do we get from Israel? What product?
Nothing.
We do
Nothing.
get, what we do get is intelligence. Israel has cornered the market on things like surveillance technology, on things like intelligence. Why have they cornered the market? Because for the last 70 plus years, they have kept the people of Gaza basically imprisoned in their own land. So they've learned detection systems, how to detect Palestinians trying to come over the fence. They've mastered that. They have drone technology, so you can monitor their movement inside these basic concentration camps. That's basically what they are. So they
some people would call it apartheid, right? Wouldn't some
That's
people
what
call
it
that
is.
an apartheid? Yeah.
That's
Now
what
we've
it
gone
is.
beyond that because it's a genocide. Okay, that's what it is. I mean, people can say what they want, but as many people that have been killed and murdered here, and they can keep going back to say, well, Palestine this or these other people and Hezbollah, all of this. Okay, this was a back and forth. I can't say who was the aggressors. I know now who are the aggressors in today's time. I see a lot of innocent children that have nothing to do with this. It's being slaughtered.
Well, let me
Left
ask you
and
a
right.
question. Let me ask you a question. Let's say a foreign power attacked an American vessel, an American flag vessel, and killed, say, a third of the crew on that vessel, firing, let's say from planes, firing onto that vessel, killing about a third of the crew. What should America do to that country?
You know what they're going to do. But you know that's what they're going to do. Because they're going to feel, oh, well, they attacked it.
Well, let me tell you what they did do. They didn't do anything because the country that did that was Israel. In 19, I want to say somewhere around 1973. I'm sorry, 1967. 1967, an American flagged vessel was off the coast of Israel. And it was a listening post for the CIA with American sailors on the ship. They were listening to Israel's attack on 6 neighboring countries. They called it the 6-Day War. The vessel heard that this was a preemptive attack on countries that did not attack Israel. In order to silence them from ever telling what they heard, they attacked an American flag ship, killed about a third of the people on the ship. And America said nothing, did nothing. Years later, Israel agreed to compensate the family of those killed. And there's a book out from someone who was on the ship that day. It's called The Liberty Incident. So it's one thing to say, well, we've been attacked, say in the Gulf of Tonkin, where nobody was killed, as far as I know. We went to war with Vietnam and killed 4 million Cambodians, Laotians, and Vietnamese. Israel attacked a ship, an American flag ship, killed a third of the people on the ship, and not a peep from Washington.
All right. Hey, you know what we're gonna do? We got about 10 minutes left, so I just want to talk about the New York Knicks. Go New York!
Oh,
New York.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about? Hey, man,
listen, it's been a long time.
Tomorrow's the game, baby.
Tomorrow's game 1. I am very excited. I will be wearing my Knicks t-shirt tomorrow. For sure.
Hey, I've been wearing my I got my gear right there, man. I can't wait. I'm just telling you, boss. It's been a long time coming. It was 99 as when they got to this point. And I guess the first time I saw them, I think it was in 69. when they won the first championship, and then back again in '71. I think I saw it again because I think they won it.
73 they won. Yeah, 73 they
okay,
won.
so that's when I got to see them win. And,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people they don't remember it. Well, they weren't around to see.
I have a poster. I'm looking at right now from 1973, signed by Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed, Red Holtzman,
Oh man,
I'm
jealous.
Walt Trump.
I'm getting jealous.
And John Lucas.
I don't want to talk to you anymore, man.
And
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I have the authentication to prove it's their signatures. So as soon as the Knicks bring home this championship, that poster might go on eBay.
Hey,
yeah.
I gotta get. I've been looking to get a one of the hats for the Eastern Conference Championships, but I think I'm gonna wait. If they don't win, I'll just get the Eastern Conference Championship hat. If not, and when we win, like I believe we're gonna do, then I can get that big old jammy hat, nice big old T-shirt, and have me some fun, man. I might even go out and get myself one of those what do you call the rings? Commemorative rings.
Mm-hmm.
I might even go out and spend $1 or $2 for one of those, man.
Well,
I've been waiting a long time to see the Knicks do something, man.
I'm not gonna say if they win. I'm gonna say when they win, because right now, when we went into the playoffs, the Knicks shifted into a different gear. They went. I think they lost maybe 2 games in Philadelphia and just ran the table. They went into Cleveland.
No, they swept Philly. They swept the Sixers, man.
Well,
that was a sweep.
Well, since that time, I think their last loss may have been in Philly. But since that time, how many games have the Knicks lost?
11. They won 11 games straight.
So the Knicks are playing at a completely different level right now. And I think that one thing that's going to benefit the Knicks is the fact that Cleveland played a hard-fought series with Detroit. I think that Cleveland was just tired and was not ready for the New York Knicks with the ball movement and the speed and just that mental focus. And now you have San Antonio Spurs also coming off 7 hard games against OKC. Is there anything left in the tank? The Knicks have been home. Right. The Knicks have been home preparing, for last week. Right. So the Knicks have plenty in the tank. They're rested. They're bringing back Mitchell Robinson. Right. So, they should be ready. And I think that everything goes through Wemby in San Antonio. But the Knicks have 3 7-footers that they can throw at Wemby. How do you take Wemby off the court to get a breather when the Knicks can just pound him with 7-footers constantly and just wear him down?
I want to see how they're going to deal with him defensively, because Wemby is he's not a one-dimensional player. He can stand all the way back. He can shoot some threes, or he can take it down low. He's not a one-dimensional player,
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that
they're going to handle him.
I think that what they want to do is keep Wemby on the perimeter, because if he's on the perimeter, who's down low getting the rebound? So I think that they want to push Wemby out on the perimeter, let him shoot the 3, right? If he makes them, well. If he doesn't make them, you get the rebound and you're running back down the court, right? And you're going to keep Wemby running up and down, right? Because if you take him out, who is going to come in and guard Karl Anthony Towns, right? So
who's going to guard Jalen? Who's going to guard Brunson? I mean, even Hart. Look at Hart. If Hart gets loose, man,
and if Mikal Bridges gets hot, right?
Oh, please.
And then you got OG Anunoby, right? So all of these guys are offensive minded.
I love OG.
Yeah. So I mean, who is going to guard these people? You take Wemby and sit him down for a breather, right? The Knicks can run up the score by the time he comes back out on the court. And he's going to be running back and forth because, he's got to play. He's got to come out on the perimeter to try to block shots. And when he's out on the perimeter, you're going down low to one of your big men. So it's going to be an interesting series. But the Knicks are going to come out I'm saying Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6. All right. On that note, we're gonna get ready to get out of here. Hotep, my brother.
Hotep.
That's right. It's time for us to do our due. I gotta go eat dinner and walk the dog. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you hear, you like what you see, leave a comment. You can also call us. The number's right there. Just give us a call. It's all good. Again, my name is Kendall Stevenson. I am the host. I'm always with my brother, my man. Whoo, gangster. I tell you, the brother's gangster, man. Mr. Ronald Yates. All right. So anyway, we like to say peace. Hotep. Be yourself because everybody else is taken. And Ashe.
Ashe.
Welcome to the Empire One Show, where knowledge meets action. Yeah. We break down barriers to financial literacy. Speak truth to power, real conversations. Voices that inspire change, challenging the status quo. Tools for building wealth, taking control. Your future